going on, Menace Militia? Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I know it's been a while. I missed you guys way too much. It's time to get back into it. I've done a lot of tweaking to my my trading strategy here. I think it's very important to emphasize the things that I'm doing wrong, so that you guys are able to learn from my mistakes. And honestly, it's something that that I knew I was doing, that I didn't want to address. And that's a very, very important part of trading, is being able to be self-critical and honest with yourself. So I'm going to share with you guys what I was doing wrong. I was way overdoing the leverage. I would even call it abusive and not following my 2% rule. I'm done doing that. Now what I'm implementing is something a little bit more astringent, getting back to basics. I am implementing a 2% risk only on every trade. And by that, I mean 2% of my balance. Leverage is not going to be over 30x, but more importantly, the size of the trade will not be more than 1 Bitcoin. I was doing trades that were north of 4 to 5, even I had a couple that were 9 Bitcoins, which is just absurd. I mean, even with, with 10 Bitcoins or so, that's $290,000 on a single trade. There's no reason to do that. So what I'm doing now is much more. I'm actually about to get stopped here, which is fine because I am maintaining my trade discipline. This is all goes into something called trade mechanics, and that's really what I am putting more emphasis on. So yeah, you guys got to be careful with the leverage. I'm also being more careful about my entries and exits. I only use the fill or kill function, the fill or kill order, in order to catch a violent pump. Other than that, I'm going to be using the GTC order, the good till canceled order, and allow the market to come to me, because that's kind of a leak that I've been having. So I want to give you guys, I want to show that to you in practice in real time. But also, while I'm out of this trade, I want to give a brief overview of a more expanded view of Bitcoin and give you guys a couple of thoughts on that, okay? Start with the daily. So as I look at the daily, I want to point a couple of things out. I'll go ahead and get rid of this first of all. Okay, everyone should be able to see this now. So what you're looking at back here, this is August of 2022. This is the swing high that led to the cycle bottom at about 15,500, right around there. This anchor point, this support line, is drawn from pretty much this order block down here. Okay, this little, as close to the swing low as I can do and still maintain a straight line. For the last few months, since the beginning of 2023, basically, we've been putting in this huge ascending level of like higher highs and higher lows, right? Most recently, in mid-June, we had a really powerful move on the Bitcoin spot ETF application news from BlackRock, and a handful of others. Since then, we have failed to put in any kind of continuation, which, in my opinion, puts us in kind of like this rising wedge here. Okay, putting us also right up in the same area as this order block from June of 2022, so about a year ago. This order block right here is the area that has given us the most trouble, that we have been unable to break. Bitcoin has done some very interesting things in the last few days, or in the last month rather. Yes, it has failed to push. It has failed to push higher above this point of interest, above this order block from June of 2022. when it had this initial rally, I've been tracking this very, very closely, the fair value gaps that it created. These are really, really big imbalances that happened from a very energetic move up in mid-June, late June. Basically, these are voids in the market. These are areas where the price is likely to return to in order to get those orders filled. Now, for the longest time, about 29,500 was the support for pretty much this entire pattern. We have since pushed down back into the first fair value gap here. In my opinion, we have fully mitigated this fair value gap at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So we've knocked that one out. That's very important because we've also now tested this order block down here at 28,500, which is just a stone's throw away from the overall support of the pattern that we have held since pretty much the cycle bottom in December of 2022. We have one touch here. We have another touch here in June. And now I believe we are not going to get any kind of continuation to the upside, barring any kind of, ETF bullish news. I think that it's very likely that we are going to continue this move. It may not necessarily be a violent push down. You may not end up getting a super violent push down to about, call it 27,740. However, what I think is probably going to happen here is we're going to continue to chop sideways until we strike that. Very similar to how we did here. This pattern here and this pattern here are remarkably similar. And I would be very surprised if we did not come down to test this trend line. I would be very surprised if we did that, or if we failed to do that. I think it's absolutely necessary. And as I look at the relative strength index on the 1 day time frame, I can see that every single time we have gotten the bounce on this trend line here, every single time we've done that, the RSI has been near this range at about 31. And then here again, it was about 38. And we are not quite there. We are not quite there on the RSI here. We're sitting currently at about 45. So I think it makes perfect sense for us to come down to about the 38. And a quick move down to that support line is a perfect way to do that. So I think that we are very close to the bottom for this little month and a half long pattern. And the RSI definitely agrees with that. So what I think is going to end up happening is I think that we are going to get a test of this support here and possibly a couple of sell side liquidity sweeps of that trend line, which makes perfect sense to me. I actually don't think that this entire fair value gap will be mitigated anymore. Originally, I thought that it was absolutely possible, particularly since July 18th, which a touch of this trend line would have fully mitigated this fair value gap. However, if I look back in time to the last time we got a bounce on this trend line, we also had some fair value gaps. So I had one here. I had another one here. And I had one here as well. Of those 3 fair value gaps, only one of them got filled. Okay, so that was this one here. So that means that we do still have these 2 fair value gaps down here. Now, if that move happens, and I don't think it will, I actually think that these fair value gaps are going to be left alone for the most part. They were a very, very long time ago. I'd be very surprised if the price came down to try to fill any of those, because I mean, you're talking about a $20,600 Bitcoin at that point. And I think that we're a little late. Excuse me. I think that we have entered the bull market, the early season of the bull market. And I would be very, very surprised if we ended up getting that move down. Just to put that in perspective, that would be a $8,500 drop in order to fully mitigate that. I don't see Bitcoin doing that. I mean, can it happen? Sure. But I really don't even see it coming down to break the $24,800 range, which is this little order block here. I would be very surprised to see anything like that. Honestly, anything below about 25 or 24.7, I think would be. I really just don't see that happening. I think this order block is going to be rock solid. I really do. I actually don't think we'll even test this. What I do think is going to happen, though, is being that we only filled the top fair value gap on this initial push here and left these two alone, I think that we could possibly be setting up something very similar here. I think that we have mitigated this fair value gap here, and we're only going to touch a little bit of this. Now, perhaps we end up getting a move down here and a bit of a sell side liquidity sweep. That is possible, about 27.3. But I would be looking for a pretty quick wick here, and then hopefully another move very similar to what we saw here. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how that ends up happening. So, long story short, I don't really like to have concrete targets. But I think it's a pretty reasonable assumption that as long as we don't get any bullish news on the ETF, on the Bitcoin spot ETFs, I think it's a pretty reasonable assumption that we end up coming down to test this trend line before we can have any chance of coming up and challenging this order block here and the top of this trend line here. So, a lot of chop. The last month and a half has been nothing but chop. Very, very difficult to trade, very volatile on these smaller time frames, and extremely difficult to chart. But when you zoom out on it, it looks much more docile. It looks much more easier to anticipate, what you could be looking at. Now, there's another reason that I think it's going to push down to that level as well. And predominantly that is because we have been maintaining about the $29,500 level here as support right up until the end of July. Now we're about a week and a half underneath that. And we also had one break of that up to about 30,000. And I believe that was yesterday. So we had that push to about 30,000, which is right in line with this order block here, and had a very clear rejection from there. So that tells me that we have filled all of the orders in this area, this fair value gap, the bearish fair value gap, this imbalance that was taken out. That's completely mitigated. That's over. So after we had that push up, we got immediately rejected back down to about 28,904. And we have not really been able to reclaim any of those levels, particularly the $29,500 range. I really do think that the move is this. You have the push here, the rejection, comes back down, probably one more test of about 29.5, right around there. But then I think we end up eventually coming down to here, to about 28.2, right around there. Well, that's on the daily. I actually think that if I were to zoom in on this a little bit more on a tighter time frame, it puts it closer to about 28, I don't know, like 20, or I'm sorry, 27.8, if it were to have the move down to here. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Also, the Fibonacci is starting to agree with me as well. So if I go from here, the swing high in April, and I pull this down to the swing low in early June, mid-June, I can see that, and go ahead and get rid of this fair value gap as well, and the order block, so it's just a little bit easier to see. I can see that on the push down here, we ended up testing the golden pocket. The rejection here after that test is a rejection on that 786. So I believe at a minimum, we are going to have another retest of the golden pocket, and probably fall into it a little bit. So I'm putting that target at about, if it goes straight down in like the next 2 days or so, that's about 27.8 is what I would put that at. hopefully getting supported on the golden pocket and testing the top of the fair value gap that is here at about 28.3 or 28.250, right around there. So yeah, that's what I think is a likely target for Bitcoin in the short term. Now, once it does that move, however, once it accomplishes that, I think it would no longer be appropriate to use April as the swing high. I think it would then be much more appropriate to use that right there, the high of the pattern here, and then hopefully we will have a clear and concise bottom here where we can measure that. So let's just call it 28,000 or so, right around there. In that case, if that ends up happening, then our targets for a breakout to the upside are going to be in this range, right at about 38,000. And believe it or not, that is a move that can happen very, very quickly once we get supported here. We've seen how energetic the moves off of this support line have been. I mean, with a matter of days of touching this support line every single time. The first time going from about 17,000, pushing within just a few days up to 24. Then we get the retracement down when we touched it again at about 20K. Had a really, really strong push to about 29. And then ultimately topped there at about 31. And again, when we came down and tested it again at about 25,000 within about 4 or 5 days, we ended up right at about the $31,700 range. So, it is a reasonable assumption, in my opinion, that if we do come down and test this, that it's going to be a pretty energetic move back up. And also, you can see that the support and the resistance are converging. They're starting to get more and more narrow, more and more compressed. Now, generally, these types of patterns on the longer time frames like this, they don't really float out of the end. They generally will get to about, let's say about 30% of the pattern remaining. So let's call it about here, September 1st, right around there, or August 21st, right around there. I would expect that we would get a definitive move with Bitcoin, either up or down at that point. I don't imagine that we will float, on this trend line till about 30K or anything like that. I definitely don't think that Bitcoin is going to do one of these where it just kind of like chops around and then just floats out of the middle. I'd be very, very surprised if that happened. I put that at less than 5% that would happen. More likely what's going to happen is we're going to come down, test this trend line, have a couple sell side liquidity sweeps here, and then, in my opinion, a pretty energetic move up to challenge these areas. Now, if we break the 32,500, we'll test the top of this trend line. At that point, I would start sizing up some of the higher targets. Somewhere up here at about the 37 to the $40,000 range, right around there. That's what I would be looking for. So yeah, that could be extremely bullish. So long story short, guys, a good way to put this is we got to get down to get up. And I'm pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. I put it at about 85% that we are going to come down and test this trend line. But I don't think that we get any significant movement below it. We may fill this fair value gap down to like 27.1. But I do think that if we make that move, we are more than likely going to get supported on this order block right here. So that would put the bottom at about 26.2. I'd be pretty surprised if we came down that low. I think it's much more likely that we would, if we do end up dropping very quickly, like, here in the next day or two, I think it's much more likely that we end up just filling this fair value gap here or some of it with like a sell side liquidity sweep. I think that is the more likely scenario as opposed to pushing all the way down here and breaking this order block and coming to challenge this swing low here. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing, and I don't know if that's going to help you guys or not. Again, this isn't financial advice. This is just what I see on the chart and what it's telling me, and it is giving me a bearish bias on the daily time frame. I really don't see any reason for Bitcoin to get continuation up at this point. Maybe here it had a chance to do that at about 30,100, but this energetic move down right here, I think that pretty much killed that chance. And the fact that we have not been able to really have any strong support over what was previously, or what is now turned into resistance, what was support here at about 29,500. That's a pretty key area. So yeah, that I'm looking at that. We also need to take into consideration the golden pocket. Sorry. We need to take into consideration the golden pocket of this pattern itself. The rejection that happened at about 30,000 was, and go ahead and get rid of this for now. The rejection that happened didn't even test the golden pocket. However, these two did, and they're very, very powerful rejections there. Going from about 30,420, that rejection actually pushed all the way down to 29.9. And then on the reattack, it was a lower high at about 30,360, ultimately culminating in the dump down to here at about 28,850. We keep setting lower lows and lower highs. For that reason, I think it's very reasonable to assume that we're going to test this trend line here. And I think that if that test happens in the next day or two, you're looking at about 27,800. And if it takes, a week or so, or 2 weeks, then I would be looking for something to the effect of about 28.5 to 28.8, right around there, which isn't really that big of a range. I mean, Bitcoin can do a move down here and back up to challenge the golden pocket. It's capable of doing that in a day. I mean, I've seen it have that kind of volatility. My guess is that we are going to get the push to this trend line, and then it's going to be a very energetic move to the upside. That's my guess. But it is good that we have filled this fair value gap. That is one less thing to attract the price once we get the continuation up. So that is good. Now, as far as a little bit more zoomed out, macro geopolitical kind of news, I think that given the events that we've seen recently, I think with Gary Gensler softening a bit, excuse me, and also the SEC asking Coinbase, or telling them that they need to delist everything except Bitcoin, I think that the timing for this is very obvious, and I am pretty confident, and I know that I shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm pretty confident that that is being done in preparation for the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. I think it's very likely that we're going to see that be approved. And if that happens, the news of that is going to be gargantuan. I mean, you guys thought that XRP pumped hard on the Ripple case versus the SEC verdict being breaking. It's nothing compared to what a Bitcoin spot ETF approval would bring. So I wanted to share that with you. That's my thoughts, my 2 cents on it. I mean, again, not financial advice, guys, but I really don't see how the SEC can justify not approving Bitcoin spot ETF at this point. The language is correct. The compliance is there, and it's the most, BlackRock, Fidelity, Wisdom Tree, my gosh, Deutsche Bank, I think JP Morgan also submitted one, ARK Investments submitted one. There's roughly a dozen of the largest at Charles Schwab. There's roughly a dozen of the largest asset managers on the planet asking for this all at once. I'd be shocked if they get told no, all of them. I would be very, very surprised. All right. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking for Bitcoin in the little bit longer term, next few days or so. I think it's a pretty reasonable assumption that we're going to get that test of that trend line. Okay, but I'm not going to beat that too terribly much. There is one more thing I wanted to look at, actually. I want to do an inverse Fibonacci on this and see where that lies. Yes. Okay, so look, when you run the inverse Fibonacci, what you're looking for is you want to see how big the pullback is. And generally speaking, traders consider a trend to have a high likelihood of continuation to the upside if, when it comes down to the golden pocket, the inverse golden pocket, that it gets supported, which puts it right in line with that support. So that's what I would be looking for. I'm pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. Yeah, and that puts it, halfway through the golden pocket here, which also puts it about halfway through this fair value gap, allowing it to touch here, maybe a quick wick down to like 27.6 or something like that. I think that is very, very likely. I mean, we did see the sell side liquidity getting taken here, and we also saw it happen here. So I would be very surprised if we didn't have a similar move that took place over the course of about 2 or 3 days once we touch that trend line, which would satisfy most of this fair value gap. It would be mitigated, and it would put it right in line with this. That's what I'm looking for. So a lot of chop on the horizon until we get supported here and Bitcoin can have a clear and concise move, because this chop here was awful. It was very, very difficult to trade. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing okay with that. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's zoom in and let's see if there's anything that resembles a tradable market. Okay, there is some nice movement here. I do see some structure. This is a 5-minute time frame. There's a couple of things that I'm going to be looking for. I want to see continuation. I want to see market structure shift, and I want to see bullish break of structures. So there's a few ways that I can do this. On the 5-minute, this is the real market structure shift that I want to see broken, because that is a larger time frame. That's the area right there that I want to see get taken out. We've already tested it twice, and we have not gotten any continuation above that. Now, that's if I was going to buy this and hold it over an extended period of time. I'm looking for something that's a little bit more short term. I want to start looking for things on this pattern right here, very, very zoomed in, because my trades are going to be very quick. So I'm looking for the swing low of the pattern to get taken out. Okay, that's too far back. Okay, so here is the swing high that preceded the swing low of this little downtrend right here. Okay, well, to be more specific, this downtrend here. And that's what's being tested there as well. Might as well just put that right there. Okay. So there's probably a lot of trend line liquidity here. I'd be looking for a quick push to here, and that's where it's going to make a decision. But in the meantime, I can see that I have a clear downtrend. Lower lows, lower highs, right? So this is the previous swing high that led, this is the swing high that led to the swing low of the pattern. Let me move this over. Sorry about that. Okay, let me do that again for you guys. So I have this swing high here, right? That was the last swing high before we bottomed here, the low of the pattern at about 29,125, right? We started to get a nice push up, higher highs, higher lows. Yes? Until finally, that trend brought us up to here and gave us our market structure shift, which is going to be right there. Okay, so now that has been accomplished. So that's step one. After that, we pulled back down, and we have since, and actually just recently while I was making this video, we had a bullish break of structure of the previous swing high, which is right here. Okay, we have now since been supported over both, and we're testing that trend line. This is a trade opportunity, and a pretty good one. So I'm going to keep this very, very tight. I mean, I'm not really risking a lot here. I am going to be using an entire Bitcoin to buy it, so it'll be about a $30,000 trade. However, I'm only risking approximately $20, roughly. So let me go ahead and get that in there. Bang. Okay, good. And what I'm doing is I'm actually going to catch the breakout here. So I'm going to pull this down to here, and I'm going to immediately get that order in place. Okay, you can see that populate there. And now we wait. So I can see that there's a fair value gap here that's going to need to be mitigated. That's going to be right here. And that is a bearish fair value gap, which is actually almost filled already. So a very, very quick move. So now I have to start looking for potential areas of resistance. I can tell you right now, that's going to be one right there. Turn the magnet back on. Right there. So that's going to be number one. I'm going to be looking for pullbacks in that area. I can see that there's clearly a strong order block here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as well. Okay. And that is the area that I'm looking to get broken before we can come up and start challenging this swing high here, which is at about 29,430, which, if you remember, is just shy of the 29,500 area, which was the support that has now turned into resistance for the entire pattern. Breaking back into that and getting continuation beyond 30K is actually very bullish, and it would actually void pretty much everything that I just said I was calling for, the test of the support, the ascending level of support for the entire pattern. But, I mean, we're a long way from that. Really, really long way from that. I'll go ahead and tone this down a little bit. This fair value gap has been mitigated at this point, in my opinion, or at least close to it. But it's not uncommon once you have a breakout from a trend line to come back and test it for support prior to getting any kind of continuation. So I had really, really good support on the market structure shift here. And then it was immediately followed by the creation of a fair value gap that instantly got filled and then got continuation to the upside. So I bought on the breakout, which is kind of a dangerous place to take that trade for a few reasons. Number one, this could be a quick little fake out, and at which point I'm at risk of getting stopped here at about 29,250. More importantly, though, there is a imbalance here. Excuse me. There's an imbalance right here that is unmitigated, which means that price is going to be inclined to push back down into it. Kind of a tricky area to take a trade because, I mean, if I wait, I think my entry is good based on the information that I had. It did definitely look like this was going to get a push, and it still might. We got about 25 seconds left in this 1 minute candle to see what happens. And I didn't want to miss a potentially good entry here because taking this entry here allows me to have a stop loss back inside of this pattern in the event that this decides to push up to these levels up here. So I'd be looking at about 29,360 to be the target on this. Okay. It's also not uncommon after you break a bullish break of structure that you come back and you test it. I'm probably going to get stopped there though. But that's okay because I'm using strong risk management here. Very, very stringent. I'm only risking about $19 on a trade that's worth about $29,000. So I think that's pretty good. And now we have to just wait and see what happens. So being that we had the market structure shift here, the confirmation of it, the best place to take a trade here actually was not here. The best place would have been down here inside of this fair value gap. However, it does look like we are starting to get a little continuation. All right. So now what I'm looking for is a new bullish break of structure. I want to see this take out this previous little swing high here and set a new one. That would be the confirmation that this market has switched, at least on the smaller time frame here. And there is a very, very good chance that we get a challenge of this area at about 29,360. But we are going to have to break this little level here and finish filling the bearish fair value gap here, that imbalance there. Side note, there is also another imbalance here. It's not quite as pronounced, but it's still there. Now go ahead and mark that. Definitely looking for this to get some kind of continuation. Don't want to see that. Don't want to see a big top wick on this. That's a good way to get rejected down. This is the 3-minute chart here. Let's switch over to the 1 minute. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm actually thinking about raising my stop loss here a little bit. Because if it fails to hold here, it's almost assuredly going to come down here. There's not really any reason for me to take that loss. Because if it fails to hold the 21 exponential moving average on the 1 minute time frame, there is very little chance that it doesn't come down here, which actually presents me with another trade opportunity, probably a better one actually. And that would be something like this. That would be something that looks like this. It's kind of unmitigated as well. The answer is I would wait. So in the event that this comes down here, I would not buy it until it put in like a really nice looking bullish candle that shows that there is some sort of support within the fair value gap, because it's too easy for it to blast right through this right here, which would turn that into a breaker block that gets disrespected, and then it would have no choice but to come down and test this order block here, which goes from the top of this candle to the bottom wick there. So that would be the ideal point of interest there, unless there is something to the downside, which I don't think there is. Okay. Hopefully this problem will take care of itself and I won't have to worry about it. There's my actual entry there. And hopefully I get some kind of continuation now. That seems to be good support. I'll feel a lot better when I see this right here get broken. And a good indication that that's going to happen is if we take out this swing high right here. And that is a lower high as of right now. Looking for the support on this 9 exponential moving average on the 1 minute time frame, which is also the trend line support. Got about 20 seconds left in this candle to go ahead and put some sort of a bottom wick on that. At a minimum, I want to see the bears fail to create a lower low than here at about 29,256. Okay, that's good. It's a nice bullish engulfing candle. Needs to take out that swing high here and this one. If it does that, we will likely get a test of 29,278. Okay, there's the initial break. So now I'm looking for the bullish break of structure here, where we can start challenging some of these areas. If it does break this area here, this line at 29 to 80, if it breaks that, it will almost assuredly fully mitigate this fair value gap, which it hasn't quite done. There's still a little bit to go, but it's not much. I think we get one more little push up there, actually, before that candle closes. No, we'll get it right now. It will. I have a very hard time believing that this will not, at a minimum, attempt to break this one more time before getting rejected back into the pattern. I'm pretty sure that that's going to push up there. Yeah. This is a pretty efficient little move here. There's not really any fair value gaps. It's closing them as it goes, which is good. That's what you want to see. Because the last thing I want is for this to just explode up and have a huge candle body where that price needs to return to. Here's the test at the previous swing high. I imagine that we will get a push through this here very, very soon. There's the test. Small rejection. Okay, maybe not on this candle, but almost assuredly on the next one, we're going to try to wick into that. Okay, retest of the 9 exponential. This is an equal high. That is, as of right now, a failure of the bulls to create a higher high. So the last thing we want to see happen is the bears succeed in creating a lower low. That would almost guarantee that we're going to get a push down. So I'm looking for the bottom of the fair value gap or this trend line here to be support in order to put a bottom wick on this and get that test where it pushes up. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. That's what I want to see. Nice small candle body, if you please. There we go. That is almost definitely going to come up here now. Yeah, that's good support on the bottom of the fair value gap. I'd be very surprised if we don't break this now. Pretty sure we're going to get that continuation here. If not on this candle, maybe one more test of the 9 exponential. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to get a quick, energetic move up to this. Probably within the next, 25 seconds or so. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Okay. Starting to make that move up. About 10 seconds left on the candle. Be very surprised if we don't match that at least and put some sort of a wick over that. That's all it's going to take, actually. Okay. Pay attention to this. As it came down, it kind of hesitated here. There we go. Oh yeah, that's going to break right now. There it is. Okay. So we're profitable on the trade as of right now. It's at about $8 in profit, not a lot. Looking for the fair value gap to be fully mitigated. That's next. Oh yeah, and that also coincides with a swing low here, which actually created the top of the fair value gap. So I'm looking for that to go ahead and get closed here. This is, no matter what, fully mitigated at this point. So we had a nice bullish break of structure here. That is the second or third one in a row. Very, very nice. Tells a good story for continuation. So we do have an order block here. Right there. That's this candle here. Okay, this candle right here, top to bottom wick. Okay, because that is the candle prior to the big push down. So that's definitely going to be a high value target. Okay, Bit of a pullback, trying to get supported on the fair value or on the previous swing high. Very, very normal. Very healthy. Will probably come down and test 29,273. Test this here. Sorry, test this here. Okay. That's nice. Now I want to see a nice bottom wick on that. Very energetic. And as the price rises, it'll actually pull the moving average up with it. That's actually not good. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see a nice bottom wick on that you can see as the candle develops, it changes the location of this exponential moving average because it's so lightly weighted. This is only a 9 exponential moving average on a 1 minute time frame. So every minute it will adjust. That's what I was talking about right there. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, a bit of a stutter here. Other traders definitely see this order block. I can tell just because of the hesitation prior to touching it is literally $1 away from that. So, I can tell that other traders are seeing what I'm seeing, which is actually a good thing. That helps me. Definitely need to get back above it though. This is a good candle right here. I would prefer that it be bullish engulfing, but it's a good setup because it shows support on a key moving average. I imagine we will break this here. I'd be very surprised if we did not. There it is right there. Okay. All right. Right on that order block, what'd I tell you? 29,283. Okay, so we are up on the trade a little bit. I'm going to start mitigating this just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put this right at the bottom of this order block here, just underneath the wick of that candle. That's a very tight stop loss. Now at this point, what I'm doing is now that I've entered my trade and I got my entry, now my job is to manage my risk. So right now I'm only risking $7.30 roughly. So about $8 or so with fees and everything. But my upside is a 12 to 1. So I'm looking for a target up here. So I'm risking about $7 at this point to make 88, which is a very nice risk reward. Okay, there's the break. Let's go ahead and put this one in a profit. Go ahead and stick it right there underneath that previous swing high. And now I'm looking to follow it up. Now this order block is pretty important because this is the order block that pushed us all the way down. So very, very, very important to take it out. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down just below the moving average here, because if that does push down, excuse me, I think I may have jumped the gun on this a little bit. Let's go ahead and just make it a break-even trade. So the trade is risk-free at that level. Put it just below this moving average here. So I'm only risking what? $4, $3 on the trade plus fees, so $5, whatever. That's what I was hoping was going to happen. Just come down, test this order block, and then hopefully get continuation up. All right, I'm going to get stopped on this one. All right, so I already know that's going to happen. So I'm going to start scoping my next trade. Let me consider what happens if this fills. Okay, so this order block is now being tested. I think that's probably going to get supported. Okay, this order block has failed. Good. Okay, so we're going to come down and test the trend line. Is that what you're telling me? That's not bad. Let's go ahead and look at a larger time frame and see if there's any magic there. There is, right on that 3 minute. Really, ideally, I would like to have this trade here. Yeah, that's going to happen. 266. Let's go ahead and open that. Can you feel it? Yes, no? All right, so I'm going to bring this back down because I want this to come to me. I don't want to chase it. And if that means I missed the trade, then I missed the trade. Wow. That one sucks, though, because that would have been a nice one. All right. It's okay. Looking for the retracement. Let it come to me. Stop loss is going to be down here. It's a nasty rejection. This order block's cracked. This order block is also cracked. This is also done. Excuse me. All right. Come on, give me a little pullback. Just a little one. Let's see. Let's go ahead and put it right there. Man, that's going to rip. That's going to rip. All right, I'm not going to chase it. I want it to come to me. I want it right there. Because remember, I'm managing my risk as well. Bulls are very energetic. I don't think they're going to come back. Yeah, you're not coming back, are you? Oh, yeah, you are. Oh, there you go. Come on, do it. Do it. There you go. Oh, come on. 260. All right. So there we go. Hopefully we're going to get some strong continuation now. I got my stop loss down here. I'm going to go ahead and mitigate that. That's more than I wanted. 2%. Well, actually, no. That's actually within my tolerance. Never mind. Yes, it is. Okay, so that topped just here on this order block here. So that's definitely one that I need to pay attention to, which is the bottom here. Looking for the reattack here. Okay, this is now, I don't really care about all these. This is a nice move here, though, showing support and continuation over the previous market structure shift. I actually like where I took this trade. Look at the 1 minute. Yeah, that's all right there. I think that's good. Should get a nice move up. Testing this order block is where the rejection happened. So we go ahead and mark that so I'm aware of it. Go ahead and do that in red for previous resistance. That's nice. Here comes the reattack. And I'm going to mitigate this one quickly, as fast as I can within reason, because this is this trade has a high probability of reversing, particularly here. Or excuse me, here. Right at this little area of resistance here. Note the imbalance. Note the imbalance here. Okay, energetic move up. There is a fair value gap here. Okay, pay attention to these because even if they seem small, they are very, very important. Price loves to retrace back into them. I would love to see just a quick wick down here and then that candle flip bullish. Like literally just a quick stab down to 50% of this fair value gap right on that 21 exponential moving average. And then within the same candle, just have it rip back up. That would be extremely bullish. Honestly, those are like ideal, those types of scenarios. So risking about 40 on the trade, which is fine. That's within my 2% rule. And now I need a new target to the upside, actually, because I've adjusted this since then. So right here is obviously a good one, the top of the pattern. That'd be about 131 on the trade. Yes, because this trade is for 1.03 Bitcoins. Okay, there's a retest of the fair value gap. Looking for it to come right here, 29,282. It's kind of shallow. That might be enough. At least it mitigated some of it. That might still push back down. If this flips green and takes out my entry here, then I think it's probably good. But if it closes just like that, it's probably going to come back down here on the next candle. That's my guess. I like the buying pressure that candle is representing, though. The really long bottom wick there. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to come back to here. No? I mean, I'm okay with you just pushing. That's fine, too. Yeah, that's what I thought. Come back. You can do it. Go right here and then bounce. That's what I'm looking for. There's a retest of the 9 exponential. Yeah, you're almost assuredly coming back down here. If you close looking like that, you're definitely going to come to here. More than likely, you will actually fill the entire fair value gap. I would start worrying about this order block holding right here. If that ended up being the case, yeah, you're going to push down. Oh, yeah. Okay, there's the test of the 21 exponential. Now, if this candle pushes up really hard, it will drag this right here, the moving average, right to the bottom of the wick, which would look extremely bullish. If not, and this pushes lower, then we're almost assuredly going to test this here at 29,278. Is that a double top? Not quite. Couple ticks lower. Okay, now I would love to see a bottom wick on this candle. If I don't get it, I'm getting this here. Yeah. This happens a lot, where it will come up, touch the 9 exponential, and then get rejected. If that happens and it stutters here, then it's definitely going to close this whole fair value gap. So now I'm going to start looking. Yeah, that's going to happen. So let me look for any kind of support here. That's flimsy at best. Start looking at that right there. It's a decent trend line. One touch, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. This is where I would be looking for it to go if it doesn't get immediate continuation. That is a beautiful example of a fair value gap getting filled and attracting price. That's a perfect example. It would be even better if it ended up getting the continuation to really demonstrate how important these fair value gaps are for entry. 29,290. That's the test of the 9 exponential. Coming up to test the top of the fair value gap. Breaking the top of the fair value gap puts us in line to do 29,300. 15 seconds left. That candle there was a small imbalance here from the close of this candle to the open of this one. That went up and filled it and has now started to push down. I'd be very surprised if we did not touch this trend line here. And there that is. This fair value gap is smoked, which is fine. Perfect. That's a beautiful thing because it completely mitigates the fair value gap here. It gives, if this candle can hold and get some kind of continuation up, then it further cements the strength of this ascending trend line here. It also shows that we are holding over a previous swing high, which is here. So continuation here is very bullish. Even as it is right there, that's a good candle. Good. Note, no top wick on that candle. That's perfect. That shows a push down to a key area, a support level, and then getting continuation right back up. There it is. Okay, looking to take out this swing high here, followed by this one, and ultimately that. Okay, re-challenging my entry, re-challenging this swing high. Should get the push above that. If not, we are definitely coming back down. If we cannot get any continuation over this level, 29.3, we are definitely going to push down below this trend line and start testing some of these areas down here. But it looks like we are getting another great I mean, that's a perfect candle. Very good. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't get the continuation. That's a really beautiful touch of that trend line right there. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see imbalances getting corrected. That's an efficiency. Okay, when you see like an imbalance occur and then the market comes right back and takes care of it, like that just makes you sleep better as this price continues to rise because there's less of a reason for it to come back and take you out. Go ahead and get rid of that there. All of this is still happening over that original market structure shift as well, which is very important. I'd be very surprised if we didn't take this out and attempt to break this swing high here. Another perfect candle. Note, all three of these candles have no top wicks. Those are bullish. That means that there's almost no selling pressure within them. Would be very, very surprised, particularly because we're trading above the open and closes of these candle bodies here. I'd be very, very surprised if we didn't get immediate continuation up to this level at 29,319, 29,320. About 20 seconds left to get a decision here. If this candle closes just as it is now, that little sliver on your screen there, that's actually not a good thing. That shows hesitation. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Yep, we're going to get that push up to here. I would like that to be a little bigger. Again, no top wick. Very little selling pressure here. Very little. Which means the only reason that you didn't get the push up is because there was hesitation from the bulls. They wanted to. I think they wanted to see if the bears were going to push that back down. Also, we're looking at an imbalance here. Pretty sizable one too. I don't think that we come all the way back down to this, though. I think it's much more shallow than that. Yeah. I think this is going to rip pretty hard, actually. If it can take out the swing high here, I think it's going to rip pretty hard up to here. And I think it's probably going to blast right through it. I think it's going to go straight to here if we can get right through this area right here. So that's at about 29,429, which would be it's a nice trade for me. It's about 130 on that trade or so, which is nice. Still have an imbalance down here that has not been mitigated. I take note of that. That is a bullish fair value gap. So that has not been mitigated. This one has been partially mitigated. This one here. Let's take a look at where the 3-minute is. It's probably very close. So the 9 exponential moving average is right here at 29,289. Trade is still very risky. I'm looking forward to when I can raise this. I think I'm actually going to right now, just because if I get a failure on this trend line, it's going to come down and stop me anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and mitigate now and cut my risk in half. So it was about 40, now it's about 23, 24. And I'm looking for some sort of support. This is probably going to fill this fair value gap actually before it takes off. Go back to the 1 minute. If it does, this would be a really good example of going down to get up. This fair value gap is from 29,287 to it's a $9, $11 fair value gap. Who cares? I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that it's a very small fair value gap. So if we do get if we get strong continuation to the upside, if it's a small fair value gap like that, I'm actually okay with it being unmitigated as we push up. I don't think that the price would come down here just to fill a $9, $11 fair value gap when you start talking about 29,500 right around there, which is actually my real target for this trade, because that is the bottom of that pattern. I'm looking to hold a trade through that. But I will not leave money on the table. I will not do that. So that'd be about $200 on that trade if it hit. This looks good. Getting that test of the previous swing high. I'm looking for a very energetic move up to this little blue box territory here at about 29,350. Assuming we take out the swing high, of course. Okay, there it is. Zooming out a little so that I can adjust in real time. We're up 27 on the trade. You can see that here in my unrealized. That's a nice bullish break of structure. Looking for the continuation now. We also are simultaneously breaking that resistance there. the resistance of that candle. Now, breaking this will be a larger time frame market structure shift, where I would be looking at, which is the same thing that happened down here, but it would be happening on a much larger time frame, which makes it more valid, more powerful. And that's if we break this blue box territory here, because this is the swing high that led to this swing low, if that makes any sense. Okay, looking for the continuation over the previous swing high and this area. My guess is it's probably going to be pretty violent when it gets to move. We're at its current price. I'm up 23 on the trade. So this seems like a good area if we get the push up to here to go ahead and put my stop loss. I think it's just a little head fake. We may come down and fill that stupid little fair value gap down here. That might happen. But I'd actually be kind of surprised. Yeah, that makes much more sense. The continuation up is the move. That's support over the previous swing high right there. Very, very, very tight time frame here. Or very, very, very tight candle. Wow, I can't even see it actually. It's behind this little red line here. Or I'm sorry, behind the little green line here. There we go. There it is. Okay, I'm looking for this to get taken out now. Right there. Okay, I'm going to start mitigating. Make it a break-even trade. Just a little bit below here. Just below that order block. A quick wick will take me out. But I like the idea of the risk-free here, being that we're approaching such a critical area. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's going to be a fast move to here. I expect that on this candle. Or not. Okay, let me double check and see if there's any hidden support. I have that there. I don't really see anything else that's too terribly important. Maybe here. That could provide some protection in the event that it pushes down. Yeah, I guess that could happen. Okay, looks like we're trying to confirm support one more time. Done a very good job so far about keeping the 1 minute candle body closes above the previous swing high. That's good. It means that it's kind of forming like a steel wall, a brick wall that the price is having a difficult time getting back down through, which is a good sign. There we go. The bulls see it as well. This is not going to hang out here. Definitely not. Okay, looking for that push. 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Come on, you can do it. Oh, am I early? 15 seconds early? It was off by like 5 seconds. There it is. Bang. Okay, we're up 36 on the trade. I'm going to go ahead and move this up to here. That's going to push there for 1 second. I will be right back, guys. Someone is at my door. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. All right. So we did get the break. Looks like we're trying to get a little retest here before we get the move up here. We're up about 35 on the trade. Been in the trade for about 15 minutes or so right now, so it's not bad. That's nice. Approaching that very, very important order block, which is the swing high of this previous touch point here. That looks good. Looks really good. Definitely want to see this blast right through this area. Up 44 on the trade. I am going to lock in a little bit more profit here by putting it just below this order block here, because this is an area where it is likely to be rejected. That is also probably lining right up with the golden pocket for the entire pattern here. That would be my guess, or at least very close to it. Oh, we have actually broken out of that area. That's this area here. So we are on approach to the 786. Good. That's fantastic, actually. Okay, we're up 43 on the trade. Going very well. Again, the trade is risk-free. Stop loss is being adjusted. Keeping it very, very tight in case this pulls back, because there are quite a few fair value gaps to the downside now, ever since this one here. You have one here. I have another here. Unless that was fully mitigated. Okay, looking for the continuation here. Which we're almost assuredly going to get a test inside of here. Looking for that to just go ahead and break. If it does, probably pretty energetic move up to about 29.4, right around there. Clear interaction with the bottom of this order block. Very, very obvious. Like I said, high probability of being rejected in that area. That's why I kept my stop loss so tight, because I don't want to give it. It's hard to make money. You know, I don't want to give back gains that I've already done the work for. I can just find a new entry if that stops me. I hope it doesn't, though. Pretty important candle that's forming right now, because that's the one that has tested this moving average immediately following a rejection here. So would really, really like to see a bigger bottom wick on that. Yeah. Okay. That's going to... Wow. See how close that came to stopping me? It still might, but that's beautiful. That's a slightly higher high. Looking for the test there. I can't believe that didn't stop me out. That's insane. All right. Getting ready to move. I literally couldn't have put a better stop loss. It's going to stop me right now, though. What? Twice? Come on. No way. I'm not that lucky. There's no way I'm that lucky. Yeah. 3 times? Stop. Really? I can't believe that didn't stop me. Look at how close it came. 327.3. So that came within 20 cents of stopping me. It still might. I mean, super volatile. Very, very dangerous area right here. Do not want to take a trade inside of that range. Would love to see that take out that little swing high right there. That'd be very bullish. Take it out. Go ahead. Do it. Let's go. Whew, a nasty little order block. Come on. Now get supported here. There's no way okay, yeah, I was going to say, there's no way I survived that again. Alright. That was a decent trade. Definitely was. Alright, so that is looking like it wants to be support. Am I going to be able to hit it right there? I bet I can. Are you going to push below it? You are. You're going to go to there. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Filled all those fair value gaps right there. Those are all gone now. Nice. Finish the move. Finish the move. Come on. Finish the move. Go to here. You're not done. Just knock this one out while you're right here. Come on. There you go. Who's a good girl? Come on. Let's go. There it is. Bang. Give me that right there. That's okay. $286. It's 23. Can I move it in time? Get to the 40. That fair value gap is mitigated. Oh, blown right through. I need this right here to hold. That right there. Told you, man. Those fair value gaps there are no joke. They get filled. Need that order block right there to hold. Luckily, there is nothing else here to mitigate. So if this pushes right down through here and takes out this swing low or this swing low, it's a pretty surefire sign that the trend is over and it's going to start pushing down, which means I'll only have one bad trade on this move up, which is very, very good. Beautiful. Okay, definitely an energetic move. Very surprised that we didn't get the continuation here once we set that, but that is a very powerful order block. Definitely is. But what we just did is beautiful. That pull down right there filled all of the fair value gap imbalances. All the bullish imbalances. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's smoke too. Bang. We've also created a bearish fair value gap here, which I would be hoping that that will attract back up because I want the trend to continue up. Okay, so now what I'm looking for is, now that all those imbalances have been mitigated and we've taken all of the liquidity on the trend line here, the sell side liquidity, what I'm hoping happens now is that we will get a retest and, that this order block here holds, which it's being tested right now. If it turns into a breaker block, it's going to come down to here. That order block is smoked, and I'm out of the trade. Okay. All right, so now it's time to wait. And actually, you know what? I think that's a good place to end the video. I hope you guys learned something. If you guys have any questions about trading, if you guys are just getting started, I totally understand. Please reach out to me in the comments, or you can DM me. Many of you know me personally. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe and share the channel, and let's get profitable. All right, that's going to be it for me, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.
1, 2